One.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
We're live. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Susan, thank
Thanks
you
for having
so
me.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Okay, I'm really excited about this one because this is one of the first podcasts that we're going to do on parenting. And this one in particular is on how to give your kids directions.
Right.
So,
It's one of my favorites.
okay, good. Let's get right into it.
There's a lot of parenting in just giving your child directions.
Okay.
Believe it or not. No, I feel like whenever I talk to parents, like one of the biggest issues they have is my kids never listen. My kids won't follow directions. I can't get my kids to do anything. You know, that's kind of a big complaint that I hear from a lot of parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the book, Parenting is Hard Work, it's by Scott Transky and Joanne Miller. And they kind of break it down into the parents have a part and the kids have a part whenever you give an instruction to a kid. And so it works. It's like magic.
Yeah.
And if you really follow these steps, and people are like, oh, that's just going to take forever to do all those steps and everything. It's like you've already got an instruction routine in your house. And chances are it goes like this. Go get your shoes on. Go get your shoes on. Go get your shoes on. 1, 2, 3. I said, get your shoes. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
My kids always knew I meant business when I started talking through my teeth, and they'd go, "Ooh, she
Yeah.
means it. We got to go do that."
Yeah.
So there's an instruction routine that chances are it's already taken a long time in your house. So if you use this routine, as you get familiar with it and go over it, and your kids get familiar with it, it's a whole lot easier than that other thing.
Okay. Teach me
Okay.
this routine.
Oh, Yoda.
Yes. So I don't have any, obviously I'm not a parent. I don't have any
Right.
experience in this field, but with this parenting class that you guys do with Suncoast, I hear nothing but good things. So we do have an intro kind of to this whole thing.
Right.
So if people want to
That we
watch
did
that
last
first.
time.
Yeah. So the first one that we did on this is a great little intro, just kind of on successful parenting in general.
Right.
So this one's going to focus on kind of one of the
This
topics.
specific way. And I know I mentioned it in the other podcast too, but everything you do with your child should be in the context of your relationship. And that includes giving them instructions. So if you follow this instruction routine, it helps break down walls that can be built up with the anger of them not doing it and with them doing it wrong and all of that. That kind of builds up walls with your kids, and you don't want that. So even in how you give directions, it needs to be in the context of relationship.
Okay.
So it's good. Okay. Step 1.
Okay.
It starts with the parent. Okay. So I'm not even going to get to how to give the instruction for a little bit. So this is important. So for the parent, you want to get close to the child. So don't scream across the house to tell your child to do something. It, gives them an excuse. It's like, oh yeah, she's, well. If you come and you look at a child in the eyes, it magnifies the importance of that instruction. Like, oh, she really came in here to tell me to do that. This must be important. Or with small children, get down on their level, get right in front of them and give them the direction. That makes the direction that much bigger, that much more important, and it makes your child more important. I know that sounds weird, but you want to get their attention. So draw them away from what they're doing. So take out the earbuds. Here, take off so that you can hear me, so that I can give you this instruction. So that's just step 1. So that's really important. Step 1 for the child is to learn to come when you're called. So, I used to tell my kids, first time with a happy heart, like, don't what me and come in there. And this is kind of a place to check the attitude. And so whenever I tell my kids that, maybe if they're little, practice it with them. Do it over and over. Maybe do it 100 times in a day. But again, whenever you call your child, I kind of touched on this in the other podcast too. If you called a dog and rapped them on the nose every time they came to you, they're going to start cowering in the corner. And it's the same with a child. If every time you call their name, it's because they're in trouble or you want to give them an instruction, they're going to quit coming to you when you call. So maybe sometimes when they come to you, just give them a hug, give them a snack. Oh, I just wanted to check and see what you were up to. Do you want something to eat? Can I do something for you? Instead of, I have something for you to do for me every single time. So practice that with small children, role play with your child. And of course, if I did that with Mac, I don't know, he was a little bit older, so he was probably 8 or something, but I was like, I really want us to start doing this. And then I'd go, Mac, and he'd come in and he'd slide into the room. Yes, mother. So there's like a little sarcasm going on there, but I don't care. It worked. So, I'm good with anything.
Right.
But with your older kids, maybe you say, I don't like this, how we've been screaming across the house to each other. When I call your name, I want you to start coming to me. And vice versa. If you need me, call me. And if I'm available, I'll come to you. But just that respect factor is huge. It's very important. And don't text your child if they are in the house with you. No.
Why?
I don't know. That's just a thing. Like, come downstairs right now. I need you to do something. No, that's a respect factor. It's like, you're in the house. I can walk upstairs and ask you to come and help me do something. Yeah.
And
it's a relationship thing. Also, I think in text, sometimes you can't really tell the tone of what's being said. So it could come off like, get down here right now and take out the trash.
Yeah.
Yucky.
Yeah.
Just so when you have teens, even, you're not too late to the game. But if you have teens in your house, say, you know what, let's try doing this and talk to them. One of the really great things about this instruction routine, and I'm probably going to say it in every podcast, is we're not just raising kids, we're raising adults. And if you teach kids to follow directions, you're teaching an adult how to follow directions. And I think that's really important, because don't you know some adults that don't know how to follow directions?
Yeah. And it's kind of a weird thing, because you think that people just learn that naturally, but it really does come down to childhood and the relationship with authority figure, which is the parent initially.
Right. So that's just really important. If you have the opportunity, get close to the child, or if you just want to call them in, at that point, get close to them to give them an instruction. So
you mean like physically close? Like
physically close. There are kids that have, I talk about the love languages, and sometimes it's physical touch. If your child is a physical touch child, it may even help to put a hand on their arm to give them an instruction. It just helps them hear it better.
Okay.
So, so try those different things and get your child to come to you. And then make sure that you give them the instruction close. Okay. Step 2 for the parent is consider your timing. So your kid comes in from school practically in tears because they blew the math test and so was mean to them and they were just having a really bad day. You know what? Come in, have a snack. I'm sorry. Tell me about your day. What happened? That is not the time to go. You left this morning without taking out the trash. Go do it right now. That's in the context of your relationship. That's not warm. That's not welcoming. That's not even a good time to do that. Or, you go in and they're in the middle of this, like they have been playing this game and they're on this final level and they're just so excited and you're going to put that down. Come and do this right now. That's not cool. Can I do it after this level? Yeah. But as soon as you finish that, come and see me. I need you to do something for me. So consider your timing. Like, don't, be so authoritarian, that this is, because I said so right now. But for the child in the same way, should always be ready to accept an instruction. So in that adult world, you don't tell your boss, hey, I'm going to get through with this before I come in there and take your instruction. So, have your kids say, you need to be prepared. When I call your name, you need to be able to come to me so that I can give you an instruction. So that's just kind of helping them develop skills for later in life to be prepared to take that instruction. So again, you just want to consider your timing. But then again, if you need it done, you are kind of the parent, so you can ask them to come. So those first 2 steps are really important in the relationship with your child. Just have that respect factor. I think you even mentioned, it's kind of interesting to treat your child like a person. Yeah, that's good. Anybody else you were going to give instructions to, you would consider the timing.
Right.
So there you go. Okay, step 3 for the parent is to give the instruction. We're here. Now you get to tell your child what to do.
Nice.
Okay. But don't say, do you want to go do your homework now? That's not a thing.
So it's not a suggestion?
It's not a suggestion. So the best way is to start it with their name, put the instruction in there, and then end it with a little period called now.
Ooh, okay.
I like it. So, Rita, I need you to go get your shoes on now.
Ooh, yes, ma'am.
It doesn't require any translation. Oh,
Right.
does she really want me to go do that now? Or should I wait 5 minutes? Or can I finish this game? No, I need you to go put on your shoes now. So they're very clear that you have just given them an instruction. So there's no qualms. You don't want to escalate it to anger right away because they didn't do it. It's, you've given them an instruction. So their part is that they need to answer back. So you say, hey, Rita, I need you to go put your shoes on now. Yes, ma'am. Or, okay, I'll go do it. You just entered into a binding legal contract with me that you are going to get your shoes on. So that's important. You can't come back and say, oh, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, did you mean now? Oh, I thought we weren't going until later. So I was just waiting until you said we were leaving to go get my shoes on. Kids will come up with 1,000 different excuses of why they didn't hear you. But if they say yes or answer back, that clearly shows that they heard you.
Right.
And it's that contract. I like the contract. So you can also check here if they're doing the right thing with the wrong attitude, because attitude is everything. So, hey, I need you to go get your shoes on now. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Come back here. Let's try that again. Yeah. I need you to go put your shoes on now. Okay. Thank you. So you just want to make sure, or what is up? What's going on? Maybe you weren't able to consider the timing. Maybe something is going on. So have that little heart check with your kid. Again, it's a respect. Well, why aren't you doing it? We need to talk. This may be more about your attitude than it is about the thing I'm asking you to do.
Right.
So
do you feel like
that's really important
with kids? Is there ever a time where they're just in a bad mood just because of the direction, or is there usually something underlying? Like if they do have a bad attitude, is the first thought, oh, maybe something's going on, or is the first thought, you're just being a brat? Like what?
No, usually I actually have a piece of this puzzle that goes directly to attitude.
Okay.
How you spot an attitude and how you find out what's going on behind the attitude. I'm not sure if I talked about it in the last podcast where I'd go into Mac's room and he'd go, what? And I'm like, what do you mean, what?
Yeah.
And it was a pattern I was setting because I only went in there to give him an instruction or when he was in trouble. So maybe that's where the attitude is coming from. Maybe it's something you're doing. Maybe it's the way you've been telling them to do stuff that's giving them an attitude.
Okay.
So this is a good time to check that and maybe get rid of some thinking errors that are going on.
Okay. I like that. Is that attitude spotting in this podcast or in another one?
No, it's in another one.
Okay, cool.
But it's really important to check on that.
Ooh, real quick, when I say another one, that means future ones that we're going to be doing. Okay.
Yeah. In a different one.
Yeah.
Checking on the kid's heart. It's always good. So when they answer back, it means that they intend to obey you. So now your next step, which is step 4 for the parent, is to wait expectantly. So you throw a direction over your shoulder at a kid and you walk off. You got about a 50-50 chance that direction's actually going to happen.
Right.
So maybe it's you sit right there and wait until they do it. Or maybe it's something like, hey, I need you to go take a shower now. So they run upstairs and you wait. And I don't hear the water running. Maybe that's just a way for you to check on what's going on. So you make sure that the direction is getting done. So that's kind of your role in it. Their role is to go do the job like they're on a mission. It's hard to get children to go from point A to point B sometimes, depending on the age. But, it's like from the kitchen to their room. Ooh, there's the TV. Yeah. There's that toy I left on the floor. There's that distraction. So you want to train your child to go and do it like they're on a mission, but you're there waiting expectantly for them to do it. And that gives them it starts developing in them the sense of responsibility. So if I gave you a package to take to the post office for me, we have that kind of built-in thing that package is riding around in my car. Oh, I was supposed to take that to the post office for her. Oh, I didn't do that today. So you kind of have that little
It's like accountability.
Yeah. And that little nagging kind of right here in your stomach and in the back of your brain the whole day. It's like, oh, I need to take that. I need to get that done. That's what we're developing in kids when we wait expectantly. Like, I'm at the door and you haven't brought me your shoes yet, just reminding them, keeping them on that track that they're doing it. But you do want to develop in them that sense of going and taking care of it and doing that instruction then. So it's not in the back of their mind.
Right.
So you tell your child to go clean up their room and they get sidetracked on the way there and they don't get it done. And then you come in and see that it hasn't been done and you blow up. But if you would have gone and just kind of peeked in their room, oh, thanks. Yeah, you are getting after it. That's great. Thanks.
So what do you do when it's not done and you check up and you're like, uh-oh. Was that your bad as the parent for not checking up or?
Not necessarily, because in the next step 5, you're going to reverse the process. So the child's part comes first.
Okay.
So once they are finished with what they're doing, they are going to come and report back.
Ooh, I like that. So mission and then report. Yeah.
Exactly. So I personally have a boss that really likes you to report back. Like when PL gives you an instruction, he wants to, oh, I faxed that thing for you. Oh, I sent that. I called that lady and told her about the thing, We
call that closing the loop.
Closing the loop.
Yep.
So this is how your kid closes the loop. Okay, I went and did what you said. I cleaned up my room. Okay, well, now for the parent, you are going to inspect and release.
Ooh.
This is our Friday. That Friday afternoon when you're done with work and you're like, oh, got the weekend. This is the kids' weekend. So they're going to come back, told you I did it, and then you're going to go back and you're going to inspect it. Because a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, you don't go inspect. They got sidetracked on the way to do it. You go in. It's not done. You blow up. Here's the fight. Now we're not going to leave in time. This didn't happen. And it's just a big point of contention. But if they know you're going to go back and inspect and release, you go in and you go, you know what? You did a great job. What about those clothes on the floor? Those need to find the hamper. And, let's do this. Now, during inspection, you also want to make it age friendly. Like, okay, I do have to say though, back in the day, 5-year-olds had to go out and get the eggs from the chicken before they went to school. We don't even expect our 5-year-olds to make up their bed, really? So if they take the covers and actually get it up over the pillow, that's great. That's fabulous. You don't have to go bounce a quarter off their bed when they're 4. But, so you want to make it age appropriate, what you expect when you inspect.
How do you find out what is age? Like, I have no idea what is age appropriate for kids.
Well, and you'll see your child be able to do it. Like, they can do a better job than that.
Okay.
But don't go behind them and redo it either. That kind of hurts their self-esteem. If you want it done a little better, tell them what you want. Like, oh, you did a great job cleaning up the kitchen, but can we wipe down the top of the stove too? I see you wipe down the counters. So give them positive feedback and like, okay, now you're done. Great job. Thank you so much for helping. And try not to give them too many instructions at once. I want you to clean up your room and your bathroom and then blah, blah, blah. Go through this routine with them for this direction.
One mission at a time.
One mission at a time.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if you were to come in and redo something, does that just make them think, well, they're going to redo it anyway, so I can just do a bad job?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Or it's like, I'm not very good at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I won't do that anymore. Or, yeah, she doesn't like the way I do that, so it can cause an attitude.
But if you just tell them what you are expecting of them with the age appropriate, then I think that's really good that they feel like they can accomplish something, and it does build that self-esteem.
And they did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really important. I had a girl that said her daughter would clean up her room all the time. Like, she was great at cleaning up her room, but she would not pick up her Barbies. And she had a Barbie box to put the Barbies in. And I was like, okay, there's a thinking. She would just cry. I don't want to put my Barbies in there.
Aww.
And I said, well, she doesn't like where she's having to put her Barbies.
Yeah.
Like, get a shoe organizer and put it on the back of her door and let the Barbies live in there. Or do they have a Barbie house that they could live in? Or, maybe don't push the box into the cubby. Like, put the opening there because they're crushing something's going on.
Yeah.
The reason she doesn't want to pick up her Barbies.
Yeah.
So you can find out those kind of thinking errors too through the instruction routine. When there's certain parts of it they don't want to do, maybe they do think they're bad at it. So you want to help them out.
Is that the entire routine? Will you kind of do a brief overview on step 1, step 2, step?
Yeah. I'm actually going to talk about how it goes.
Oh, perfect. Go.
So when you give your child the instruction and you show them maybe, well, in the thinking error part, you want to go in with them. Like Kylie would get frustrated because she didn't have a place to put all that.
Yeah.
So she'd shove it under her bed. Well, when I'd go inspect, I'm like, what did we do here? Well, I don't know where that goes. So maybe you want to go in and do an organization day with your child. That's also a really nice act of service for your child, is to go in and help them. And maybe if they see how you do it and how you expect it, when you inspect it, they'll know how to do it better.
Nice. Okay.
So basically, when you give an instruction, you want to consider your timing and be close to the child. And then they need to take the instruction and go do it like they're on a mission. But then this last part is like where you can do a closeness too. So when the very first time I ever did this, I thought, I really just don't have a routine with Mac. I need to establish that routine. Kylie was a very obedient child, so she would go and do it. But I realized I don't have to go inspect it. I know she did it. But that didn't give her that sense of accomplishment. And she was quite a words of affirmation kid too. So that was really important to do that with her, to make her feel important. Like, oh, you did such a great job cleaning up your room. That is wonderful. You know, so without that, she was just like, meh.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it was okay. It was fine. So, another thing that you want to consider is, say Saturday morning is chore day. So you're not going to actually inspect and release. You're going to inspect and give them something else to do. So you tell them, today we're going to kind of do the routine as several times because we have to get all our chores done this morning. But consider that afternoon. So what's in it for the kid? It's like, well, if they're a quality time, hey, let's get all this done this morning. And then this afternoon we can go to the park, or we can watch a movie together. Or if they're a gifts kid, hey, you know what? We're going to spend all morning doing these chores, but afterwards we could go to Target and we can get that, $5 toy that you've been wanting.
Right.
So whatever fills your child's love tank, after they get through with all these instructions. So this morning, here's your first instruction. Follow this whole routine, go inspect it and go, oh, great job. That's wonderful. Now we're going to do this chore. Okay. So it can, be kind of a fun for the whole family thing. And
you lay out the fact that there will be multiple things. So don't get discouraged. I think that was one of the things that when I would finish my chores, it was like, I'm done. And my mom knew there is a list of chores, but she wouldn't let me know there was a list. So I would think I'm done. And then it's like, okay, here's the next one. And then I'd be like, again. And it would kind of take the steam out. Right.
Yeah.
So letting them know, like, this is all the stuff that's going to happen, and there's a reward that speaks to them individually. I love that. That's great. Yeah.
And it does help with that relationship. When you're just screaming at your kid to do stuff all the time, it's just, of course they're not going to listen. So you want to have that relationship where they want to please you. Oh, okay. Then we get to go do this afterwards. So it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
And I actually had a family that took the class, and they would go to their dads and go, or their mom took the class. And so she started giving directions like this. And then the kids went to their dads and go, you're not giving the directions right. You're supposed to come in and look at what we did and tell us we did good, and it was good because they made sure everybody was on the same page.
And that's proof that kids like this.
They
do. Yeah.
And actually we have a little companion class that sometimes we teach, and they go over this with the kids.
I love it.
So it doesn't just come from mom and dad.
Right.
Yeah. So it's very important to get a routine, because you already have one. Like I said in the beginning, you have a routine of giving your child directions, and it usually ends up with tears.
Right. So
yours or theirs.
Right. Sometimes both. So how do you break out of those bad routines? Is it one of those things where now you have a new system, it's just sticking to that new system despite the problems that may come out?
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't happen all at one time. Maybe you just get down the part where we're not going to scream across the house at each other. If that's all you work on for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, at least you're not screaming across the house at each other anymore. When you go to give a direction, you're going to that child. Maybe for a week, you just work on how you give instructions, because you're that kind of namby-pamby. All right, well, you should probably go do your homework. Well, it's time to go take a shower. Or the throwing it over your shoulder at them as you go by. Now you're going to focus this week on how you ask your child to do things.
Right.
And then you want them to answer back. So just work on that part for a couple of weeks. And now work on you need to report back to me. So you may give them the instruction, but then it just kind of, okay, no, we're going to work on that. So when you get done, come tell me.
So is there an age where that stops and it's important to just kind of give them the autonomy to kind of rule their own life, like teenage years before they go out on their own? Is there some sort of transition?
Well, if you do this, it kind of becomes habit.
Okay.
Once you get it down and start doing it, it's habit for your kids. It's habit for you. I want you to come look at what I did. Mom, come see. I cleaned up my bathroom. Doesn't it look great? Oh, good job.
Right.
And I don't think they ever really get too old for that.
So a question that I have for adults, let's say I love cleaning something, and then let's say I have Ryan and I'm like, come in here and look at this thing. What if as an adult, you are either with somebody or you don't have somebody to come in and kind of pat you on the back? Is that setting someone up for, okay, who's going to validate me on what I did? Or is that eventually going to turn into like a self-validation, knowing like, okay, I got it done. This is okay.
Yeah. And it's a teaching thing. So yeah, this is how you clean a bathroom, but now you want to kind of get behind here and you need to do, and the older they get, the more they learn.
So it's not just pat on the back, no matter what, this was a bad job, but I'm still going to pat you on the back. It's like, say good job, but here's what I'm expecting of you. So there is this kind of give and take.
Exactly. Okay. And kids know to some extent, like they knew they shoved all that stuff under the bed, and they have that little guilt in there.
Yeah.
Or they have the little guilt that I didn't do the instruction at all, and now she's going to come and find it, and she's going to be so mad, but not enough to get up and actually do it. They're just going to wait. And then once you get mad, oh, now I'll do it. And you don't want that either, because that just builds icky feelings in them as well. And this takes that out. So it just does become routine. Now, if you haven't been doing it and now your child is 12 or 13 and you're hearing this for the first time, you're not going to like just start this immediately and expect them to get it. It's like, oh, okay, I learned this thing and this is what we're going to do. Okay, this is how it works. Like sit down, show them. Okay, so I'm going to give you you're going to come report back. I'm going to go look at it. And they say this is really good for us. So can we try this? Talk to your kid. Like, they'll get it. You don't have to be sneaky.
Right.
Like, ooh, I've got this insider information and I'm going to try it on my kid that's bigger. No, talk to them about it.
So really try to include them in this whole thing.
Yeah, we've been yelling across the house at each other, and I'm not going to text you anymore in your room either. I'm going to come and find you. Let's have some respect factor of not screaming across the house. So your teens get it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is instructions.
How to give your kids instructions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
We will probably start about a correction routine.
Ooh. Is this the thinking errors as well?
A little bit, yeah. Because in everything, you kind of need to do an attitude adjustment.
Okay.
Or an attitude check. Because whether it's giving instructions or disciplining or whatever, like I said, we have routines. And most of it ends up with yelling. And that takes time. So you go, I have to go through this whole thing. It doesn't take near as much time, especially once you get it down. It doesn't take near as much time as what you're currently doing.
Right. And if you can keep the emotional, getting out of control, the emotions flowing, if you can get it to where things just happen without that, then
it's magic.
But they're also, so for parents and for kids, if you get it wrong, just try again.
Try again.
You're not failing if, suddenly this didn't work today.
Oh, I forgot to go inspect and release. Go in there later. I'm sorry. I meant to tell you you did a good job on the kitchen. You may remember it later.
Oh, I like that. It's okay. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Just always try to follow up.
Yeah. See how'd it go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for the next one.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Susan.
I like
this
doing
was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
I love it. All right. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace and out.